ZEnglish is an online English school with native and bilingual teachers from all over the world. If you like our videos, subscribe, click the link below, and head to zenglish.jp for a free lesson. Hello, and welcome to this pronunciation workshop. It's all about minimal pairs. That's pairs of words, couples of words, which sound very similar to each other, but have a slight difference. So you need to be quite careful with these words. I know some people find them challenging. So, a few examples to begin with. You might take the words pin and pen. They're quite similar, but there's an I and an E sound, pin and pen. So that's just an example. Others might be boat and boot, cat and cut. And many people do find these challenging. So we'll be looking at how and why and how to tell the difference, how to make sure you get it right. So those were some examples with vowels, I and E, U and O. There are a few examples with consonants as well, sink and think. It can be difficult making your S and Th clearly different. Or lead and read, or led and read, ban and van. So we'll be looking at minimal pairs, trying to find out exactly where the confusion can come from, and finding ways to fix it. So we'll start with or and o. For example, born and bones. In fact, in my small northern region in England, in Yorkshire, people often say them the same. I was born with no bones. Would be quite a northerly pronunciation. But in most accents, these would be very different. Or and o. So, first of all, or, you see this in walk, door, law, and shore. One thing I will point out, Americans sometimes give it more of an or at the end if it has a letter R, so they might say door and shore, but walk, door, law, and shore, they all have that or, which is made through a very small mouth shape, like that. But O, as in low, throw, toe, and go, O starts as a fairly tall mouth and gets smaller. O. So be careful with born and bones. One starts with a very small mouth, one starts with quite a tall mouth and gets smaller. So I was born with no bones. I caught my coat on the door handle. To catch your coat on something just means you're walking past the door and accidentally it gets stuck on it. So caught and coat are two other words. And again, the or is very small. O starts tall and gets smaller. I was snoring and it was snowing. That's actually a true one. And eat raw meat for 4 meals in a row. So raw, as in not cooked, and row, as in several things in a row, are next to each other. I broke the law, and I'm feeling low. Or I broke the law, so I'm feeling low. I often hear confusions with law and low. Just make sure you get the good or sound, the very small mouth, and the O distinct from each other. Moving on to another pair of vowels which cause some confusion. One of them we've just looked at, or, as in walk, door, more, etc. And the other one is as in work, burn, and the start of murderer. So be careful not to confuse or and You'll see walk and work people often say, I will walk to work. And confusingly, work is spelt with the letters or, but it doesn't have an or sound. It's pronounced with the sound. So once again, or, very small mouth shape, but is a much wider mouth shape, like you're smiling. But the teeth are still quite close together, not touching, but so walk to work. To give the first example, and do practice these because I think they will help. I wear a short shirt. So again, small mouth and wider mouth. I was bored, but I saw a bird. So again, bored and bird. And these two words are anagrams, meaning they use the same letters, words, and sword. It's the same letters, but very different sounds. Then, moving on once again, we'll get into the next thing, which is just one particular pair of words. This is just one minimal pair, which I find comes up quite a lot. A year or an ear. So the first thing to notice is that one is a, the other is an, which tells you ear starts with more of a vowel sound. So be careful to make year, the period of time, rhyme with her. For her, it lasted a year. So year starts with a very, very little e, very short e. But most of the word is the long I've been doing this all year. So make sure it gets a good ya at the start. But make sure it's different to an ear. So the clear difference here is ear is mainly an E sound. Year is mainly an sound. So it begins with an E, a very wide smile, ear. Whereas year, it's quite similar mouth shapes, but much more emphasis is on the So try practicing with these. I've known her a year. I pierced my ears years ago. So year rhymes with her, ear rhymes with here. So I can recommend practicing these. Most of the time, people will know what you mean. They will guess from context, but sometimes it can be confusing because something that has happened over the years has happened for a long time. But my headset is over the ears. So do be careful to make those clear. Well, moving on again, hut and hat. Now, I love pancakes, and I talk about them all the time, but one thing to be careful with when you talk about making pancakes is butter and batter. One has an ut sound, the other has an at sound. So ut is a much taller mouth shape, at a much more wide open mouth. So butter is what you make from milk and you spread on bread, but you melt butter to make batter. Batter is what you use to make pancakes or to make Yorkshire puddings. So one of them is an ingredient of the other. So the in but and hut and butter is the one you see in button and at the start of London. When you say it again, the teeth are close together, ut. And the that you see in hat and tattoo, and the article as in I need a shoe, I need a shoe. You really open your teeth to say this. So here is some very good advice for your life. Don't cut the cat. What's the matter? I heard you muttering. To mutter is just to talk quietly. And don't let the battery get buttery. So if you have an electrical battery, don't spread butter on it. So practice with those, with the ut and the at. moving on once again, here we are, round to the last slide. We've been through a few of these. Just keep practicing them, look over them, and soon I'm confident you'll be able to tell in the sound between law and low, between raw and row, a year and an ear, a fool and a foal. A foal is a young deer. Cattle, cows, and cutlery, like knife and forks, and a ghost, and being goosed, pecked by a goose. Well, I hope that you can practice these and find some usefulness in their pronunciation, and I look forward to seeing you again. So until next time, goodbye and enjoy.